Welcome to the ICAgile Equivalent Prior Learning program. In this online component, we introduce you to some of the important ideas that sit behind ICAgile's philosophy and our mission. ICAgile is a community-driven organization that brings together pioneers, experts, and provides you with a group of trusted advisors. We're not just another certification body. We're about helping change the way people do Agile by helping them become Agile. ICAgile's mission is to help organizations achieve sustainable agility by focusing on the transformation of people, not process. We do this by providing learning journeys that equip people with an Agile mindset as a foundation and then guide them along a path towards mastery in their chosen disciplines. We believe that Agile is not a process, a methodology, or a framework. It is a mindset that welcomes uncertainty, embraces challenges, empowers individuals, and views failure as a learning opportunity. Adopting an Agile mindset unleashes the brilliance of people and teams, enables rapid discovery and faster innovation. This is a game changer in today's competitive and uncertain world. The Agile mindset is paramount on your Agile journey. The Agile mindset helps you be Agile while doing Agile. Well-known frameworks provide great tools and techniques to help teams execute in an Agile manner. However, an Agile mindset is the key to being Agile, resulting in sustainable agility manifested through people, not processes. An Agile mindset allows you to tailor methodologies to your context, your reality. Agile processes will and should continue to evolve as organizations learn and build their Agile capability. An Agile mindset gives you the flexibility to blend Agile methods and even invent new methods, new frameworks to maximize collaboration and innovation. An Agile mindset helps bring out the best in people and organizations. Having an Agile mindset is synonymous with a culture of continuous learning. Agility in learning helps people reach their potential, and it's a critical ingredient for business agility. ICAgile is a certification and accreditation body, not a training company. We help organizations and training providers design learning experiences that cultivate an Agile mindset and enable sustainable organizational agility. We do this by providing world-class learning tracks to guide organizations in the development of their curriculum. Our approach is not tied to any specific Agile methodology, thus giving people the flexibility to blend Agile flavors and practices in a way that makes sense in their context. In pursuit of our mission, ICAgile works with course providers to accredit new or existing courses against proven learning objectives. In turn, these courses can be offered to individuals and organizations for professional level certifications. In addition to accreditation and professional level certification, ICAgile offers a competency-based expert certification program, which is unique in the industry. The ICAgile Certified Expert certifications are prestigious and are only awarded to individuals who demonstrate competence in a given track via a rigorous review process in front of a panel of industry-recognized experts. So why does ICAgile exist? ICAgile exists in order to advance the state of Agile learning globally. We do this by coming up with learning outcomes. We've worked with a variety of global experts, and they have defined what is needed in order to prove competence and knowledge in a variety of disciplines. These are disciplines, not roles, not job titles, and they're competency areas that individuals and organizations need in order to be effective in applying the Agile mindset. From the learning outcomes, we then accredit courses. We have a rigorous process for assessing courseware against learning outcomes to ensure that A course that is accredited by ICAgile delivers the learning outcomes, and it enables the course participants to meet those objectives and to build new competencies. We don't just accredit courses, we also authorize instructors. Instructors need to have competence in their discipline as well as being competent in delivering classes. We then offer certifications, and those certifications form a roadmap that individuals and organizations can use to define their own career pathways. These pathways lead towards an extra level of certification. That is the ICAgile Expert Certification, which is competency-based and hard to achieve. This is deliberately designed not to be pass an exam, but prove your competency in an agile discipline to a group of existing experts. And we believe that this pathway to mastery is one of the things that makes ICAgile unique in the certification world today. So what do we mean when we talk about an agile mindset? It's a viewpoint, and it's associated with ways of thinking, and those ways of thinking are associated with new ways of working. If we consider the nature of work today, most of the value in today's economy comes through knowledge work rather than through task work. Task work is being automated out of existence, whereas knowledge work, the application of human creativity, writing an article, producing program code, building a marketing campaign, these are things that the steps involved are not linear, and the tasks involved are more dependent upon human creativity and skill than on repetitious following of a recipe. One of the key differences between knowledge work and task work is the outcome focus. Knowledge work is often intangible in terms of the direct linkage. Building a computer program and having customer satisfaction from the users thereof. How we link those two is through experimentation, learning, and adapting. The nature of the process is fundamentally adaptive to go from the idea, the mere concept, through execution to implementation, and beyond implementation to measuring those outcomes, and then repeating the cycle to learn and adapt. We often can define those outcomes, but the path to get there is uncertain. Knowledge work embraces that. Knowledge workers with an agile mindset thrive in that space. So that Agile Manifesto has 4 reasonably straightforward values. It starts, we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. We value working software over comprehensive documentation. We value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. We value responding to change over following a plan. Now, if we step away from the domain of software development and we talk about any of the knowledge worker environments, whether we're talking marketing, whether we're talking talent management, whether we're talking product design, these ideas can be applied. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Processes and tools matter. Processes and tools can help us. But unless the people work together collaboratively, communicate effectively, trust each other, then no matter what processes we have in place, no matter what tools we are using, you will consistently, really efficiently deliver the wrong product. We might meet requirements without delivering business value, and we see that across industry today. So many initiatives where we've met requirements, but customers are dissatisfied, stakeholders are unhappy, working software over comprehensive documentation. Well, let's abstract away working solutions over comprehensive documentation. This doesn't mean we don't write anything down. On the contrary, we're very, very clear about what we write down and where the value is, because our focus is on those working, valuable solutions that meet customer needs, that deliver value for our organization, rather than building massive requirements documents, for instance, which are out of date within hours of them being complete. We value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Contracts matter. We have to be good corporate citizens. Deliver to a time frame. Deliver within a budget. Those constraints are important. But the reality is, so much of our knowledge work today is about learning. Our customers don't actually know what they need. We don't know what is going to solve this problem. We live in a world of complex and ambiguous situations. The way we tackle that is we collaborate and we learn rapidly, and we make the cost of that learning as cheap as possible. And this leads us to the fourth of the values, responding to change over following a plan. There's a Dilbert cartoon where Wally is talking about, I love deadlines. It's the whooshing noise that they make as they go flying past your ear. We've all seen the plan that is a work of fiction, but somehow it makes us feel good. The original concept was about risk mitigation. And in predictive, mechanistic environments, that detailed planning approach can be useful. But in the VUCA world, where there's a lot of learning going on, we need to be able to adapt our plans in response to the changing realities that are uncovered on a minute-by-minute and a day-by-day basis. The reality is we're going to do more planning, but we're going to change our approach to planning. These four values create a foundation upon which the mindset of agility can be applied. Agility is the ability to respond quickly to changing circumstances. But agility isn't something that necessarily happens naturally. In order to be agile, you need to be competent. And there are a number of models of learning. One of the most common used in the agile space is the concept of Shu Ha Ri that comes from the martial arts. Shu Ha Ri is a model for learning skills. We start off at Shu. We learn the rules and we follow them. If we consider driving from the hotel to the airport in a strange city, you absolutely follow the directions. You might have a GPS. The next level of learning is Ha. This is where we understand the philosophy behind the rules. And again, taking our example of driving, this is adapting and responding to changes in your context, knowing enough about where you are. So take the driving, knowing how to take different routes based on traffic conditions or weather and not being stuck in exactly what the map says. At the Ri level, we have built competence to the point where it becomes almost unconscious. Driving home from work would be an example for most people of Ri. You can take routes you've never taken before, but you'll make it home. When we think of applying this to our competencies and skills, both in terms of agile practices, but also in terms of our work practices in general, any knowledge-based training brings you to Shu. Experience allows you to get to Ha. And conscious practice over time brings you up to the level of Ri. And you need that conscious, focused practice and experience and time. One of the best ways to do this is to make it safe to fail. Get good at learning and learning how to handle the exceptions and the alternates to what you expect to go on. ICAgile is focused on equipping people with agility as a mindset So helping organizations, teams, and individuals move through Shu and Ha to get to the level of Ri. Not getting stuck in any one of the branded practices or perhaps one of the frameworks. To do this, we need to truly understand the philosophy behind any of the practices. If we take a common practice such as the daily stand-up, the intent behind that practice is for a team of people who have dependency and work to collaborate on their dependencies. And if everyone understands that philosophy, that why behind the practice, we can then apply it. Taken without an agile mindset, the daily stand-up, however, could be an example of micromanagement from hell. So ICAgile's approach is to help individuals and teams achieve Ri-level agility with a deep understanding of why the different practices align with the agile mindset. The author Carol Dweck talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Unfortunately, for many decades and many centuries, our schooling systems, our focus as a society has been on task work because most of the value in the economy came from task work. Today, that has changed. We need to adapt and respond to those changes. No longer can we go to a customer and say, give me your detailed requirements up front and we'll sign them off. The reality is our customers are living in a world of complexity and change. The learning, the adapting, the being prepared to embrace change are key characteristics of that growth mindset. When we think about the characteristics of the fixed versus the growth mindset, Carol Dweck wrote a book where she explores the nature of work and how the change in the nature of work is impacting our society today. And she talks about the fixed mindset being one that says our abilities are fixed, are limited, our talent is all that we have, and we can't go beyond that. Whereas the growth mindset, the flexible mindset, the agile mindset says that we can learn, we can adapt. Now, individuals will have fixed and growth mindsets about different things. When we think of agility, we're moving towards a growth mindset. This enables us to embrace change, to treat failure not as something that is wrong, but as something that enables us to learn. To do that, we have to make the cost of failure low. The learning through feedback, that criticism and feedback is good because it enables us to improve rather than being an attack and a challenge, and to actively elicit this feedback. So taking a growth mindset is a crucial aspect to success in uncertain environments, which is why it underpins the Agile mindset philosophy. All of the Agile approaches take an iterative and incremental view of work. This is an important part of the mindset because there is so much learning involved and we don't actually understand the outcome. We start with a rough picture. We present that to our stakeholders and we get feedback. Based on that feedback, we adapt, we change, we improve. We present that result again. And we repeat that sequence. If we're using Scrum, then there's a fixed cadence to it. If we're using Kanban, it's more flow-based. But fundamental philosophy is the same. Understand a bit of the need, understand the goals, do something, present the results, get feedback, adapt, improve, and go to the next cycle. Now, what we do strongly recommend is that those cycles be pretty short. One of the problems with a lot of traditional development processes was the feedback cycle was, in some cases, many months and many years. And in that period, things changed so much that the cost of change and the cost of learning were often the total cost of the product. Whereas when we can break things down into these short learning cycles, take an experimentation approach, use techniques like A/B testing, roll things out to small groups of customers, get their feedback and adapt. And today's technologies in almost all of our product development environments enable this sort of learning-based delivery. So what is Agile? At its core, Agile is a way to manage uncertainty. The world today is fundamentally uncertain. VUCA has been coined. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity are the new norm for our organizations. And we need ways to manage our organizations and to lead people that adapt to this new norm. We do this using a mindset, a philosophy that is based on humanistic principles, sustainability, respect for people, and a focus on putting our customers first. This mindset was first articulated in the world of software development with the Manifesto for Agile Software Development. The ideas embodied in that manifesto, 4 values and 12 principles, have spread beyond information technology, beyond software development. And they now are being applied in many different areas, in many different organizations. Anywhere where value is delivered through human creativity rather than through repetitious procedural work. There are domains where repetitious procedural work makes sense. But most of the value in today's economy is in what has been called knowledge work, the creative work, rather than in mechanistic procedural work. So the Agile mindset embraces change, focuses on outcomes, brings discipline to our practices, and creates sustainable organizations. If we think of Agile as a mindset, we can see it embodied in the Manifesto for Agile Software Development. 4 simple values and 12 principles. Applying those values and principles, or building on those values and principles, are myriads of different practices. And there truly is an unlimited number. The practice and the process are not what make you agile. Choosing one of the frameworks doesn't make you agile. If we go back to Shu Ha Ri, the practices, the frameworks, they are at Shu. Being agile is about being able to adapt the processes to the context of your organization and your needs. You start with often a set of practices, and that makes sense. But as you learn, you adapt. You adapt the practices, you choose new practices. You might move, as some organizations have done, from perhaps a Scrum implementation to a more continuous flow Kanban-based approach because the responsiveness is needed. Or the cadence of Scrum is more useful than the flow of Kanban. Now, neither one is right nor wrong. Agile is about picking what is right and wrong in your context and adjusting what you do to the context. It's not about having a checklist and following the checklist. It's not about assembly line work. It's about adapting and innovating. When we think about Agile Transformation, what is it that we actually mean? Fundamentally, it's about changing the culture in our organization. Culture is the way we do things here. It's what gets rewarded. It's what gets punished. It's the intangibles. And culture can be thought of in many ways as an elastic band. And if you think of the pyramid of the organizational ecosystem, there are typically 7 aspects. Obviously, leadership, the ways of thinking, the style, the habits of management. Strategy. The goals, the measures of success, what gets rewarded. The structure of the organization, roles, responsibilities, decision-making rules. Physical locations. Then we have the processes, our value chain, our policies, what gets done, and the rules around those. And the foundation in any organization is the people that make it up, their values, beliefs, attitudes, norms, and habits of behavior. And sitting around this triangle is an elastic band we call culture. And if we think of many common approaches to agile transformation, somebody comes in and they've learned about a new process, the very, very latest agile model, and they come along and say, well, we need to change it. This has been shown to achieve a tenfold increase in productivity, or significant increase in customer satisfaction, or we just need a better way of doing things. And the most common areas where we start implementing this change is at the process and maybe the structure. We need to change some of the roles in our organization. And we see this organizational restructure happening over and over and again. They all start with a good intent to improve, to get better at something in the organization, or to overall get better at being who we are and what we do. So we push the structure, or we push the processes. We send people on 2-day training courses and they come back certified. But we don't change anything about their values, their beliefs, their attitudes. We don't change the leadership style. We don't change the failure is not an option. We don't change the metrics. And what happens is you can see the culture holding like an elastic band. And it pushes to a certain extent and then it snaps back. Maybe the executive who thought of this good idea moves on to another opportunity. Maybe there is enough resistance in middle management that it just dies the death. And we're back to being what we were. We might have new processes, but we're doing the same thing with new names. We might have new structures, but the basic relationships are still there, and maybe we've changed their names. If we want to change the organization, we need to move the whole of that pyramid a little bit at a time and move the elastic band. This means that organizational transformation, agile transformations, are not overnight events. There's a lot of impetus, there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of entropy that we're pushing against. And we need to do it in a way that we don't strain the system and cause it to snap. So moving that elastic band and then re-anchoring it in the new place, little bit by little bit by little bit. When we look at organizations that have successfully made an agile transformation, it's the culture that has moved. The leadership, the strategy, the structure, the processes, and the people have all moved largely together from an old state to a new state. And again, this doesn't happen overnight. When we look at embedding the Agile mindset in an organization, ICAgile wanted to identify what it is that people need to understand. And we came up with the concept of the roadmap. Our roadmap looks at the fundamental skill and knowledge that somebody needs to be able to contribute in an agile way in an agile organization. And then there are a variety of disciplines. And it's really important. We're not talking about roles. We're not talking about job titles. We're talking about disciplines that are needed within an organization to do work effectively in a collaborative environment. Having defined those disciplines in the roadmap, in the pathways, we define steps. And the idea is that this is motivational and gives people clear guidance in what are the competencies that they need to achieve on their path towards expertise and mastery of their discipline. These were put into the learning outcomes, and each of the certifications along the pathway achieves a set of learning outcomes. At the top of each of the pathways is a really important milestone that we're encouraging people to work towards. This is the expert certification. Being an expert in a discipline is not about knowledge, although knowledge is important. It's about proving competency. In order to pass through the expert gate, you have to prove to a group of existing experts that you have the knowledge, the skill, and the competency to perform effectively in that discipline. Typically, we say that this takes a number of years of experience to achieve, and you have to show your expertise in a face-to-face session with a group of existing experts where you will exhibit the behaviors that are expected of somebody who is an expert in that space. So let's take an example of the coaching track. You wouldn't go down the Agile coaching track without first taking the Agile fundamentals, without understanding what that basic knowledge is. Then, having chosen coaching as a discipline that matters to you, the first thing you would do is the team facilitation certification on the pathway. And at the team facilitation level, the skill sets of facilitating and supporting high-performing teams in a collaborative, cross-functional, agile environment. The next step on that pathway is the Agile Coaching certification. And again, this is a set of competencies, skills, and knowledge that you need to be a good coach. On that pathway, you should be gaining experience. In order to achieve expert certification, you have to gain a number of years of experience and gain references, that you are applying the competencies, that you have the skills of the discipline. You need to submit a portfolio of work, and then you will have a face-to-face session with 3 existing experts where they will walk you through scenarios and role plays where you will apply the skills of facilitation and coaching in a real-life situation. Only by passing that gateway will you then be certified as an ICAgile expert in that particular discipline, in this case, Agile coaching. The expert gateway is something that's really important. It is something that we encourage everyone to strive towards. It is competency-based and hard to achieve, and it is a certification that has credibility because of that. So what's next? In order to claim your certification, you need to have completed this little module and the assessment that goes with it. Your training provider will upload the details of the pathway class you've taken, and then you will be able to get both the ICAgile Certified Professional and the Specialist certification that you have worked towards. And you're on your pathway to mastery. So thank you and good luck on your journey towards Agile Mastery.